As I said earlier, that this week saw South Africa enter level 2 of the national lockdown. Excitement abounded as it became clear that the ban on the sale of tobacco and alcohol had been lifted. Stats says the GDP growth for the first quarter of 2020 was recorded at -2%, marking the third quarter of decline in succession, following drops of 0.64% and 1.4% in the last two quarters of 2019, respectively. The data reflects only the first 3 months of 2020 before the national lockdown was fully implemented on the 27th of March. For analysis on this, we have Wealth Manager at PSG, Ricus Reeders, who joins me now live via Skype. Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the SABC News channel.
Good afternoon.
All right, so let's just talk about the overall reaction of the markets since the start of level 2. It's only been, 3 days?
3-4 days. When was it? Saturday. It hasn't been that great. I think a lot of it was in the price already. And it's basically drifted lower in line with what's happening in European markets.
All right, but what do you think, what's the direction that the economic recovery will take, given that the tourism will now benefit from the crossover appeal of alcohol and tobacco?
I think it's going to help, but the fact that we can't get overseas tourists is still a problem. So it might soften the blow of economic growth going forward, but it's not going to turn things around. We are still in for a horrid 6 to 18 months as far as the economic recovery is concerned.
And I think what makes it even more difficult is the fact that jobs continue to be shed in the different sectors of the economy.
Yeah. And it's not only that, it's the kind of job that's being shed. Our industrial sector was under pressure already. Now you are losing people that would normally have worked from office. And I think companies are saying, well, we don't need those offices. Maybe we can replace it with somebody that can work from home. And when things do turn around, you might actually employ less people in your physical office space.
And the reality is a whole lot of people have lost their jobs from alert level 5 to where we are now. A lot of people were sort of happy with the level 2, saying that it may bring about the much, wanted relief more so on the economy. Do you think that's the case? Are we likely to see some change in terms of the economic activities due to the level 2 lockdown?
I think those primary sectors, whether it be mining or agriculture, that need people on the ground or underneath the ground, your jobless situation at the moment might benefit. What bothers me is the secondary, the services sector, the industrial export market. Those jobs will remain under pressure, and not only because of local circumstances, but globally, companies are also looking at their competitiveness. They will be far less likely to import goods, and they are going to focus on their local markets as well.
And most sectors of the economy are now open. Do you think that some companies will sort of get a chance to operate again and perhaps have the employees back on their payroll, especially those who had lost their jobs?
I think, as I've said, it's specifically those people that were in the services industry might have difficulty resuming as always, because I think working from home is to stay, if I can use that word. So they will rehire, but the whole landscape of how local companies operate is probably going to change because companies worldwide have discovered that if you're too interconnected, you've got a problem if something like this pandemic strikes. Therefore, companies will, I think, start concentrating not on being national or international, but far more localized, and gearing towards local markets, whether it be city or provincial, or if you understand what I mean, not to be totally reliable on just exporting everything.
But what do you think is going to happen with the Reserve Bank very quickly? Are we likely to have to see a decrease in interest rates from the Reserve Bank very quickly?
Possibly, but I think the Reserve Bank has said that throwing money at the problem is not going to solve our economic problem. Okay. It is absolutely a case of the fiscal measures government can make and how efficient they are, and stopping the loss of the very scarce resources we have as a result of corruption and mismanagement.
All right, time constraints, I'm afraid, Ricus, we have to leave it at this, but we thank you so much for coming through. Wealth manager at PSG, Ricus Reeders, talking to us about the week it's been economically, of course, with the country now on level 2. Quick at break.